So I was going to start like Chloe. So you're an advocate against stalkerware. So what actually happens when someone suffers at the hands of this nasty software?
Right. Well, think of it as someone knows everything about you. The thing about the difference between stalkerware and an actual stalker, right? So, a stalker physically that we know of back in the day was that the person would watch you from your windows, try to get into your home, but they wouldn't know what's going on in your head. The thing is when we're on our devices, on our phones in particular, we're searching things. We are on social media. We're texting friends. We're having phone calls. It's the first time ever where, in a sense, where if you have a stalker, like stalkerware is one of those things that is the greatest thing for them. And the reason for that is because they're able to know everything about you. What's going on in your head? What are your fears? What are the things that you love? And as someone who's a social engineer, knowing that information can give you a lot of power. And one of the things about stalkerware is that individuals that have dealt with it, and usually most of the time, a lot of these cases are by people that were abusive in a relationship.
Mm.
So the thing is that when we're in relationships, we leave our phones near us or far away from us. Our computers in another room, and if we have a significant other in our lifetime, and by lifetime I mean at home living with us, the thing is they have access to that. You only need to have physical access to a device to be able to put something on there. Now, the thing is that a lot of times the victims are not aware of it. They've noticed like, this is weird. My battery's dying a lot faster, or noticing that like your phone is just restarting for no reason. The other thing is you can also understand that you'll have moments when your significant other or your ex, whatever, says something like, for example, say you were crying and your phone was near you. He's not in the room. He's somewhere far, far away, but then texts you like, stop crying. So the thing is that, and they'll say something like, oh, I'm psychic. I've picked up on you and everything like that. But in reality, the person has literally put stalkerware on their device. The problem is that it takes a while for victims to understand that that's what's happening to them. Now, when they understand that's happening to them, getting help is a different thing. Because the thing is, once they remove it, that person who put it on there is then notified. And this could be a really scary thing if you're in an abusive relationship. We've had cases where, and I'm going to talk a lot like as if, women are the victims because majority of them are. But the thing to note about in abusive relationships, the person wants to take over that person. In other words, wants to control their behavior, wants to know everything about that person. And usually it stems from insecurities. But in reality, by knowing everything that you're doing, that puts you in a real weird position of a lack of trust. And what we have seen is that the victims, when they're aware of it, if they do remove it, there are cases where the ex shows up, can hurt the individual, and sometimes they even have kids. So this is like a really big deal. The problem is that when you go to FBI or if you go to the police about this, there's a majority of chance they don't know what to do. There are many cases where when someone who is suffering from this goes to try to get help and they think that that person's crazy. But in reality, 1 out of 10 Americans have claimed that they have personally put some sort of spyware, stalkerware on their significant other's device. And those are people that admit to it. So you can just assume that's probably a little bit higher than that, maybe 1 out of 8, maybe even more than that. And that's the thing that's really scary is that there is no line of privacy anymore. And when you're in an abusive relationship, this is like the greatest thing for an abuser to have.